So in this session, I would like to talk about context-based vulnerability management and prioritization. So we are at the risk conference, so I prefer to start with what is risk and context-based vulnerability management, what are we doing as Qualys on that area. So also I will do a presentation, and at the same time I don't want that presentation to so dry, so in the last 5 minutes I'm planning to show you some user interfaces on the Qualys platform. So let's get started. So vulnerabilities, right? What can we do without them? So one of the things that we constantly seen in last few years, number of vulnerabilities are increasing. So vulnerability disclosures have doubled over the last 4 years, right? So we have many vulnerabilities, and if you go deeper, the number of the vulnerabilities, let's say 25 to 30% of the vulnerabilities can be ranked as high or critical based on the CVSS score. So as we all know, it's a difficult job to prioritize and pinpoint the critical vulnerabilities in our environment. So it is not an easy task, we know that. So every vulnerability management program, as you know, starts with asset management, right? So one of the most fundamental aspects of any vulnerability management program is the asset themselves. So you cannot protect what you cannot see, obviously. So in recent years, as we know, we've seen a rapid expansion on the IT infrastructure. So we have servers, we have laptops, notebooks, workstations, then we add cloud resources, after that Kubernetes and container environment arise, and then we need to find out the vulnerabilities on those environments, etc. So also there is a rapid extension of our IT infrastructure. So also it is quite difficult for today to find out all assets in our environment because they are using different technologies. So traditional discovery solutions has some difficulties to find out those kind of assets, right? And another one is for today, manual identification of the assets. So on any vulnerability management program, we are adding the IPs, we scan them, but we need to get more context from that assets, such as where those assets in our environment. And another important thing is manual grouping and classification of the assets. Okay, we know where those assets are, but do we know exact number of how many database servers do we have? Where are those located? How many Docker containers in our environment? So that's the reason we need to gain our visibility on the asset management part. All right. Second one is the vulnerability management. So more asset vulnerabilities. I'm quite sure that when you go to the office, open up your vulnerability management application, you will see many vulnerabilities from different severities. So it is hard to remediate all the vulnerabilities. So how can we find a way to remediate vulnerabilities and pinpoint the critical and risky assets on our environment? So that is the whole case. So mostly the vulnerability management, as you know, as a practice for most organizations are using that approach. Scan, reports, send to the IT team, and then based on the SLA, they need to remediate that vulnerabilities and we report again. So the assessment continues, right? But CVSS represents a technical severity, so we need some additional information or context to help us to prioritize, also remediate vulnerabilities. Also, traditional authentication or unauthentication scan is not working right now, so we need another approach. Okay, so everything starts with scanning your external perimeter via external scanners. Then servers arrive, so we scan those environments via traditional scanner tools. After that, laptop arrives, and then we need to install agent to find out more vulnerabilities on that. But we have many different applications, many different technologies in order to find out the vulnerabilities. And from the vulnerability management perspective, so prioritization needs real-time threat intelligence and asset context here. As a last phase, what about the remediation and response phase, right? Okay, we know all our inventory. We know all the details about that specific asset, okay? We know the vulnerabilities, we know the misconfigurations, okay? But we already prioritized that vulnerability, so what about the patching? So mid time to repair is also playing important role on that case as well. So remediation is not just patching, so there, as you know, there are some also configuration changes needs to be done on the server level or the client level itself. So also IT teams are struggling to find out the right mitigation steps, and also we saw there is a huge gap between the security team, the IT team, because security team, we know the CVSS scores, the IT team knows the patches and the knowledge base articles. So that's why we need to build a bridge between security and IT. So IT teams are using decentralized different patch management applications when they need to remediate any, let's say, vulnerabilities on their environment, right? Also, this is another case because most organizations are using different agents, different applications, so they need to log into different platforms. So it is also another challenge. So what security teams are asking to us? We need accurate asset inventory. We need to know, we need to discover, and we need to know what kind of assets do we have in our environment. We need to show them to our CISO, and we need to know where those assets are reside. So quick assessments. So traditional scanning are also working, no problem with that. But what about the vulnerability scanning frequencies, right? Weekly, monthly, daily for the severity high vulnerabilities, but with the agent-based perspective and also with the hybrid perspective. So everything will be much, much better. And how do we prioritize the vulnerabilities based on the context? We have different applications and also technologies in our environment, so do we have a comprehensive coverage on vulnerability sites? And also, are we having a better collaboration with our IT team, between security and IT team? And what IT teams are asking, how can we automate the remediation workflows? Can we use an application to patch a vulnerability with a single click? How can we reduce time to remediate? How can we get rid of those PDFs or CSV files that is come from the security teams, right? So how can we determine which patches to deploy? So we built Qualys VMDR. As you already know, Qualys has been founded in 1999, so it's the first cloud-based, let's say, vulnerability management vendor. So we start with vulnerability management to PCI, then we move to the compliance side. Right now we have more than 20 applications in a single unified platform. But today I would like to focus on our flagship product, what we call VMDR. So everything starts with asset inventory, right? So with the hybrid environments, in order to address that challenge, we develop different sensors. So our sensors, for instance, Cloud Agent is one of the sensors that we are using. Traditional scanners, Qualys has scanners to scan the network. For the cloud resources, we have connectors, cloud collectors. For the container sensor, we have container sensors. For the mobile devices also we have sensors. So we need to gather all the information via the sensors, and we are beaming that information to the platform for visibility and observability. And the second, when we push all the information to the Qualys cloud platform, okay, what we need to do is we need to do near real-time vulnerability assessment and finding the misconfigurations on those devices. After that, okay, we have many vulnerabilities. How can we prioritize those vulnerabilities and enable patch automation for those on those devices? And for the patch management, apologies. And after that, with the patch management, we can identify the patches and automate those remediation in a one single click with the same agent infrastructure. So everything is single pane of glass. We beam those information and all the information beamed out to the platform, and we need to prioritize those vulnerabilities, right? So we have many vulnerabilities in our environment. So with the prioritization workflow, we have detection edge and vulnerability edge in our environments. So when we build a new signature for the vulnerabilities, we also categorize the vulnerabilities based on the real-time threat indicators. Is there any vulnerability related to a ransomware campaign? Is there any vulnerability which has exploited available? Is there any vulnerability, for instance, easily exploited, right? And on the right side, so I will show you on the user interface as well. On the right side, you can see the attack surface. So I have many vulnerabilities on my environments. I need to do prioritizations to prioritize my work. So I only would like to prioritize internet-facing only assets in my environment or remove the discovered vulnerabilities. So we are using a risk-based prioritization approach here, and also we are using the patch management application of the Qualys. So we built our patch management application in an integrated way. So the idea is, okay, we find out some vulnerabilities in order to send that report to the IT team. So with a single click, all the IT teams and the members can patch that vulnerabilities in a single click. So also with the patch management application, we can patch operating systems, third-party applications natively using on the same agent. Okay, so it is also, for your information, 100% cloud patching. So from vendor websites, we directly download the patches from the website. So this also table is quite interesting for me. We released that information on our Qualys security conference 2 weeks ago. So with the Qualys integrated patch management customers and the customers who are not using our patch management solution, you can see the mean time to remediate of those vulnerabilities. For instance, on that specific, let's say in that CV, customers without Qualys integrated patching has remediated all vulnerabilities average in, let's say, one month, but with the Qualys integrated patching, we remediated vulnerabilities in a single click in 11 days. Okay. So you can also see the percentage of those, let's say, patch and the mean time to repair of the average remediation days as well. So how we can do it, as I mentioned, we have comprehensive sensors, so everything starts with internet scanners. We scan your environment externally for your public IPs, and after that we build scanner appliances. Because we have a cloud solution, we cannot reach your internal network, so we build scanner appliances here. After that laptop arrives, we install cloud agent on the laptops and workstations. After that, our customers prefer to use cloud agent and also scanner appliance with this hybrid approach to find out more vulnerabilities and eliminate any remote authentication to those servers and the devices. And also we will build passive sensors, passive scanners. The idea is sniffing the network and to find out, is there any unmanaged device on my environment? Unmanaged device means it is not in my VM program. I didn't install any Qualys cloud agent on that specific device. So also we can compare, is there any passive or is there any managed, how many managed devices we have, how many unmanaged devices we have. It is also possible to see in the Qualys platform. As well as we use cloud connectors to connect to different cloud resources such as Azure, Amazon and Google Cloud Platform. So let me a little bit about what is the platform right now. In the active scanners we have 50,000 scanner appliances in the worldwide. So in the last months, we've been reached 77 million cloud agents installed in the world. So our also cloud agent installation base is growing with our customers too. So let me go and show you a bit about the Qualys user interface. So this is Qualys VMDR. So everything start with asset inventory, identifying assets, right? So you can see the scanners, passive sensors, cloud inventory, container inventory, and mobile device inventory. So we built that connectors to gather information from different, let's say, devices. So when we gather information from the devices, I can click the view dashboard here, and I can show you here. Check. How many managed devices in my environment? What is the distribution of it? Is there an unmanaged device that I found via passive scanner? What about the asset categorization? So all the categorization and dynamic tagging has been applied automatically on our platform. What is the geolocation of the assets? how many servers on my environment, what are the endpoint distribution, is there any Docker host on my environment. All those information has beamed up to the platform and automatically categorized. What is the top software publishers, as well as we will also, with the cybersecurity asset management application with the Qualys, we will able to show you is there any end of life on end of support software in your environment, or there will be any, for instance, end of life software will be on your environment. And also we can show is there any unauthorized software installed on your environment, so you can create different kind of policies on the Qualys too. So you can see I have a very big inventory in my environment. From the asset perspective, all that information is also queryable and analyzable your environment. So for instance, if I click the software, it will show me all the software inventory in the environment, as well as the license usage and the category as well. You can see the open source lifecycle information. As you see, I have many different assets and many different softwares installed on my environments. So what about the vulnerabilities? So from the also vulnerability perspective, I identify all the assets. I know where my asset resides. I also discover vulnerabilities automatically via different sensors. So if I move to the vulnerabilities tab, you will see in my demo environment, I have 1.2 million total detections, right? It is huge. So I can always drill down here. So I would like to use my query language. I would like to check only the 75 vulnerabilities. How many 75 vulnerabilities in my environment. So I can also add additional category with the threat protection. So real-time threat indicators. For instance, I would like to see 75 vulnerabilities which is related to any denial of service category. So it is also quite easy to build any query and also create widgets from that query is also possible. So from the same vulnerability perspective, let me show you the threat feed. So we are also applying exploitable information to your assets as well. So in that case, you can see, and 2 days ago, as we know, there is a new vulnerability released for the Microsoft. So our scanners are ongoing in our platform with different sensors. So you can see in my environment, 23 assets has been identified as vulnerable for that specific vulnerability, right? So I still have many vulnerabilities here. So I would like to prioritize vulnerabilities on my environment. So this is how we prioritize the vulnerabilities. So with the VMDR prioritization, it is asking me to which assets do you want to do prioritization. So I can write anything with the type head specification. For instance, I would like to prioritize my Windows servers. I'm selecting a couple of different assets. If I click next, it will show me how many assets do I have in my environment according to my selection. Right. So according to my selection, in my environment I have 2,000 total assets. This is the number of total vulnerabilities, and the right side you can see the CVSS scoring. So these are detection age and the vulnerability age, when that vulnerability has been released in the wild. So in the middle you can see the real-time threat indicators. So if for instance, I would like to select the publicly exploit vulnerabilities and easy exploit vulnerabilities according to my categorization, and I will leave the attack surface as it is. So if I click to prioritize now, according to my selection, based on the assets, based on the detection and also real-time threat indicators, it will prioritize my assets. So out of 2,000, it prioritized nearly 2,000 assets in my environment. So I have been found 4,000 unique vulnerabilities. It is still huge, right? So I would like to concentrate on the new vulnerabilities has been discovered on my environment. So I'm just would like to see and prioritize the vulnerabilities has been detected in 1 month. According to my prioritization here, you can see the 123 assets has been prioritized according to my selection. So you can see the vulnerabilities here and also the patch information. With the patch information, we can also show you what kind of patches needs to be installed, what are the missing patches here. And another one is with the integrated Qualys patch management application. We can directly patch those vulnerabilities with a single click. So let me show you how to do it. I click here. I can create an on-demand and schedule patch job too. Okay. I'm selecting that to new job. So those assets and the tags automatically apply to my patch job selection. I click next. With the patch management application, I can always add some pre and post actions, such as I would like to change a registry setting, or I would like to run a script, or I would like to install additional software. So I can create pre and post actions in my environment. Right now, I don't want to add anything here. So those patches automatically selected when I select the patch now application. So I can always create an automated patch selection, what we call zero touch patching for the remote users. For instance, if there is any severity 5 vulnerability has been found, if it is patchable, the Qualys agents should apply the patch immediately for the Windows clients or for any test servers on our environment. So if I click next, I can add any post actions. I can schedule any deployment here. It can be a schedule based or on demand based. I click next. Those are the standard deployment and reboot communication options on the Qualys patch management. So we have also role-based access controls on the Qualys patch management integrated with the VMDR. So the IT team can log into the platform and create their jobs on their own, or they can just run that jobs on demand. So thank you very much for listening to me. Is there any question?
Yeah, we didn't see part of IT because this is a security panel where
it is exactly the same. It is exactly the same. Thank you for the question. So we have in Qualys we have one unified platform. If I click the module picker, you can see the different applications. So VMDR is our vulnerability management application, right? For the patch management, I'm not sure you can see. If, for instance, those guys need to have access to the patch management, we can always create a role-based access to them. Yes, to them. So I will be around if you would like to ask me more questions or would like to see the Qualys platform applications. I will be around, so please feel free to contact me. Thank you for your time.